The heavy metal door slammed shut, completely stripping away my freedom. The Citadel didn't wait for my answer. They just threw me into a sterile, glowing cage. In the dark corner, Kale lay slumped against the wall, covered in deep, purple bruises. The Inquisitors had beaten him for sport. I rushed over, pulling him upward. "Kale, don't you dare die on me now," I whispered frantically. He coughed, spitting a glob of blood onto the immaculate floor. "It takes more than bad magic to kill a scavenger, Lyra." "Good, because I didn't just stand there while the High Inquisitor talked," I muttered. I slowly opened my bruised palm. A stolen, glowing piece of tech pulsed in my hand. I had snatched it straight from his silk robes. Kale's golden eyes widened. That's a direct access key to their magical grid. "No," I smiled fiercely, slamming the chip directly into the cell's main power panel. "It's a bomb." The fortified door violently exploded outward with a massive shockwave of sparks. We stepped through the smoke, but freedom was a lie. We had just walked straight onto the Citadel's execution ground, and 1,000 glowing eyes were waiting for us. The smoke cleared, revealing the absolute worst-case scenario. The Citadel used a pristine marble coliseum for executions, and we were the main event. A pack of glowing mechanical wolves slowly circled us, their razor-sharp teeth dripping with stolen blue mana. "I really hate this floating paradise," Kale spat, tightening his grip on his freezing steel blade. I didn't have a weapon, but I still held the overloaded tech chip from our escape. "Don't slice them! Their magical cores are wired to detonate!" I screamed, dodging a massive set of snapping metallic jaws. The lead wolf lunged directly for my throat, moving faster than humanly possible. Kale shoved me violently to the cold floor, taking the absolute brunt of the beast's brutal impact. His shoulder tore open, spraying red blood across the immaculate white ground. High above, the High Inquisitor watched from his glass balcony, sipping a glowing silver drink with terrifying boredom. "Burn the girl! Harvest the scavenger," his voice echoed through massive unseen speakers. I rolled desperately across the slick marble floor, slamming the tech chip straight into a glowing power node in the wall. If these gods wanted a magnificent show, I was going to give them a complete blackout. The pristine Colosseum instantly plunged into absolute, terrifying darkness. The overloaded tech chip short-circuited the main grid, shattering the massive overhead lights in a rain of blue sparks. In the sudden chaos, the mechanical wolves blindly attacked each other, their explosive cores detonating in a horrific chain reaction. "Move, Lyra! Through the service gate!" Kale roared, dragging me upright with his one good arm. We sprinted down a narrow, sterile white corridor as armored Citadel guards rushed blindly past us in the thick smoke. The deafening security alarms covered our frantic footsteps. "We need altitude to escape their anti-air cannons," I gasped, kicking open a heavy reinforced steel door. The metal gave way, revealing the Citadel's grand launching bay, beautifully illuminated by the radiant morning sun. Sitting precisely in the center was a sleek, golden Inquisition interceptor, pulsing with a pure silver mana core. "Can you really fly a god's chariot?" Kale asked, coughing up dark blood. "I don't need magic to understand aerodynamics," I replied, pulling him toward the vessel. But as I touched the metal ramp, a massive wall of solid blue energy violently slammed down. The High Inquisitor stepped out of the cockpit, smiling coldly. The High Inquisitor stepped elegantly off the golden ship.
"You cannot steal the sun, little rat,"
he whispered gently, raising a hand crackling with devastating magical power. Kale collapsed heavily onto his knees, his broken body finally giving out entirely, leaving me completely alone. "I don't want to steal it, I just want to share the warmth." I glared, wiping the sweat from my eyes. He effortlessly unleashed a blinding surge of concentrated raw energy directly at my chest. I didn't try to dodge. Instead, I jammed a rusted steel wrench straight into the ship's exposed pneumatic fueling valve. Magic follows intent, but highly pressurized aviation fuel only respects cold, hard physics. The valve burst open, spraying a volatile mist into the path of his incoming magic. The resulting shockwave was catastrophic. A massive fireball consumed the ramp, throwing the pristine god backward in sheer agony. The impenetrable blue energy wall shattered instantly. I hauled Kale into the sleek cockpit as the flames licked our boots. I slammed my bleeding hand onto the ignition. The interceptor roared to life, blasting straight through the Citadel's giant glass dome. We were finally heading for the zenith. The golden interceptor shattered the final cloud layer, bursting into an endless, blindingly bright stratosphere. For the first time in my entire life, I wasn't looking at a stolen, filtered glow. I was looking at the true sun. "It's so beautiful," Kale whispered, his voice trembling as he pointed a blood-stained finger forward. "But it's in chains." He was right. Looming ahead was the zenith core, a colossal, terrifying mechanical cage built entirely around the burning star. Thick metal pipes snaked across the surface, violently hoarding the natural light and converting it directly into blue magical energy. The elite weren't just harvesting people below, they had literally caged the sky, ensuring the poor remained in an endless, freezing grayout. "If we break that cage, the sunlight returns to the dirty ground," I muttered, tightening my bruised grip on the heavy golden controls. But before I could accelerate the ship, the interceptor's dashboard violently flared with piercing red warning lights, screaming a deadly alarm. We weren't alone! A massive, glowing orbital guardian uncloaked dead ahead, leveling a giant plasma cannon straight at our fragile windshield. The orbital guardian fired, unleashing a blinding beam of pure blue plasma straight toward our windshield. "Hold on to something!" I screamed, violently yanking the control column downward. The golden interceptor dropped like a stone. The heat of the blast practically melted our top hull, showering the cramped cockpit in sparks. Kale coughed violently, clutching his bleeding chest. "It's locking on again, Lyra. You can't outrun its magical targeting." "I'm not trying to outrun it," I gritted my teeth, staring directly into the blinding glare of the cage sun. "I'm going to blind it." I shoved the throttle to absolute maximum, aiming the interceptor straight toward the burning, radiant star. The metallic beast chased us relentlessly, but its highly sensitive, magical optical sensors began to violently fry under the overwhelming solar radiation. "Now!" I roared, pulling the heavy emergency brake lever backward with all my remaining strength. The interceptor stalled, violently spinning out of the way. The blinded orbital guardian shot past us, flying headfirst into a massive, erupting solar flare. The machine detonated into a million pieces, but the fiery shockwave caught our tail fin, sending us spiraling completely out of control toward the cold iron surface of the zenith core. The ruined interceptor screamed, skidding across an endless expanse of black iron. We had crash-landed onto the metallic shell of the sun. I kicked the jammed cockpit door open, choking on the toxic smell of burning ozone. "Come on, Kale." "We made it," I gasped. But Kale was slumped motionless against the shattered console. "No, no, no," I begged, shaking him desperately. "You promised me you wouldn't die." He slowly opened his tired golden eyes. With trembling hands, he pressed a glowing mana drive firmly into my palm. "Use it to overload the core, Lyra. Bring the warmth back to our people," he whispered, and then his chest stopped moving. My tears fell onto the scorching floor, hissing into steam. The scavenger was gone, but his rebellion burned inside my fist. I stood up alone on the caged star, locking my eyes on the towering central vault. The massive steel doors hissed open. The Zenith commander stepped forward, dragging a hot sun blade across the iron. The final battle had begun. The Zenith commander dragged his burning sunblade across the iron floor, the immense heat violently warping the bare air around us. "A ground-dwelling rat cannot survive the true sun," his voice boomed, raising the blinding weapon high. I didn't have protective magic. I only had Kale's glowing mana drive in my bleeding hand and the cold laws of physics. I forcefully kicked a heavy piece of the crashed interceptor's shrapnel straight at his golden chest. He laughed a hollow laugh, effortlessly slicing the thick metal into molten slag with a single strike. But the distraction was exactly what I needed. I sprinted desperately toward the massive, ruptured fuel line of my ruined ship. "I'm not trying to survive your sun," I yelled, sliding perfectly underneath his colossal, flaming slash. His sun blade missed my neck by a mere inch and plunged violently right into the exposed, highly pressurized fuel tank. The resulting detonation was pure apocalyptic science. A concussive shockwave of burning fuel and kinetic force ripped him backward, violently shattering his immaculate golden armor. The massive steel doors to the central vault were blown completely wide open. The final path was clear. The inside of the central vault was a terrifying marvel of stolen radiance. Colossal gears and giant glass tubes violently pumped pure, blinding white light directly away from the captive star. In the exact center of the room hovered the core node, a spinning mechanical sphere draining the sun's life force. I stumbled forward, my boots echoing loudly on the pristine glass floor. My lungs burned aggressively from the dying atmosphere. I looked down at the world far below. Through the oppressive clouds, I could almost envision Orion's fading ash-gray skin. "I promised I wouldn't let you fade," I whispered, clutching Kale's mana drive until my knuckles turned white. I reached the central console, forcefully ripping the heavy access panel open to expose the swirling magical circuitry. But as I prepared to jam the drive inside, a chilling realization froze my blood completely. The terminal wasn't just a simple lock. It was a closed thermal circuit. Inserting the override drive would instantly bridge the massive connection directly through my own body. To release the sun, the user had to absorb an agonizing surge of raw solar plasma. Overloading this cage meant turning my own human heart into the detonator. A human body could never handle the power of a star, but physics didn't care. "For the ground!" I gasped, violently shoving the glowing mana drive straight into the core node terminal. A searing pain instantly shot through my arm, as millions of volts of stolen sunlight flooded directly into my veins. My skin didn't turn to ash. It cracked, glowing with blinding gold as the machine consumed my life force. The iron walls of the Zenith core violently shook, shrieking as the magical containment field completely failed. Through my tearing vision, I watched the massive metal cage surrounding the sun finally break apart. An unrestrained wave of pure warmth and golden light exploded outward, rushing furiously down to the poisoned earth. Far below, the terrifying gray-out infection abruptly stopped spreading. The dull ash on Orion's arms miraculously flaked away, replaced by the flushed color of real life. He opened his eyes, feeling the heat of the true sun warmly resting on his cheek. My physical body dissolved into brilliant, weightless embers. I never returned home, but I smiled. The sky finally belonged to everyone.